Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Alexandra and my today's project is for the LLLC Crafts design team. Every year on December 1st, the design team and Irina Blount, the owner of the LLLC Crafts brand, create tutorials and post them on either blog or YouTube. And during the event, you can also get a 20% discount on all LLLC Crafts products in their online store. I will include the link in the description box down below to the LLLC Crafts store and also the coupon that you need to use if you want to get a 20% discount when you order something from there. There are no exclusions and there is no minimum purchase required. The tutorials from 1 to 13 are video tutorials and they're available on the LLLC Crafts YouTube channel. It will also be linked down below. Starting from the day 14, all of the tutorials will have sort of a write-up in the official LLLC Crafts blog, and will also have links to the channels of the design team members. Today's day 21 and it's my turn to share a project, and I'm really happy to do that. So before we begin, I still don't have a project ready to show you. It's still only in my head, but I have done some prep work and I am going to show you what I used and what we are going to create together today. So I will start really quick with the dies that I used for my project, and they include, I think we'll start with the super simple ones that you might already have in your stash, or you can substitute them with something else. So this die, for example, it was used for just cutting out the number 25, and the diameter of the circle is 1 inch. The circle comes from the stitched nested circles die by LLLC Crafts. So the number 25 comes from one of the paper sheets, which are in the paper set, which is called Here Comes Santa, and you can also, if you like it, you can also get it with a 20% discount. Then I have also used 2 sizes of double stitched circles. I have also used some pierced scalloped circles, and they have more sizes in the set, but I used only these ones. Then we have the berry branch die. I really like this one. I think it's very versatile. Then we have the pine needles die. We also have the pinecone die, layered pinecone die, because when you die cut this shape, you actually get several pieces and you layer them together in order to create a pine cone that looks like this. So that's the pine cone, the layered pine cone again. Then there is the layered Poinsettia die, and it includes 3 layers of poinsettia. I really like the size of this die, and this one is smaller than the one that LLLC Crafts released the last year. So I also used, and by the way, all of these dies, for example, they are from relatively recent October release of 2022. And then there is also this, a little bit older die, which is called 3 Snowflakes. And I will be using the medium size and the smaller one. And the smaller one is so cute. Despite its really small size, it is quite detailed and I really like it. I have also stamped a sentiment that says warm holiday wishes, and the sentiment comes from the clear stamp set, which is called Warm Holidays, and it has a cute bunch of those tiny critters, which are really fun to color. And if you like to create the cards of a smaller size, they would be perfect to use and color for those kind of cards. So that's all the preparations. Since I already showed you the layered pine cone, I also want to show you the poinsettias that I'm going to show you how to create, and we're going to use some of those on our project. I really like how these look. I think the size, as I already mentioned, is just perfect, and the dimension that you can get is really great. And the layered pine needles die is also very special because you die cut two pine branches that look like this, and you can either use them separately if you want to, or you can layer one on top of the other, which is what we are going to do today. And then you can just maybe add glitter or shape these pine branches the way you want in order to create more dimension that will definitely make your project look unique. Let's move the dies away now and talk about the base paper piece that we're going to need, as well as some of the pattern paper layers and some other elements. I have here the cardstock, white cardstock, and it measures 8.5 by 9 5/8. On the 8.5 inch side, you will score this piece at 1/4 inch, at 3 inches, at 4 3/8, and at 7 1/8. Then you will turn it to the 9 5/8 inch side, and you will score it at 7/8, 2 1/4, 7 3/8, and 8 3/4. That's all the scoring that you will have to do on this piece. Then I also think that it will be great to prepare the pattern paper pieces for our project. And if I didn't mention before, we will be creating a gift box with a see-through window in it, and we will of course embellish the box with all the decorative elements that I have shown you before. The largest of the pattern paper layers will be 2 of these. They are identical, and this is the pattern that I chose for mine. I will be using this side. So both of these paper pieces, they measure 2 5/8 by 5. Then I will need 2 more pieces, and that's the pattern that I chose. That's the reverse side. So both of these layers measure 1 1/4 by 5. Then I have 2 pieces of the red papers here, and that's the reverse. So both of these measure 2 5/8 by 1 1/4. Then we have a piece of acetate that measures 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And you can see that I have used a 1/8 inch score tape and applied it around the edges of the acetate piece, only on one side. Here I have a stamped sentiment on a white cardstock, and here I have a scalloped circle for layering the previous piece on top of it. And that's the frame that I would want to use for the see-through window on my box, and to create that I have used the pierced scalloped circle die and one of the double stitched nested circles of the matching diameter. So that's all that we're going to need. Now, after you're done with scoring your white cardstock piece, we're going to take the healing mat and a craft knife, and we're going to cut off some of the sections on this paper piece. I will include the JPEG file of this layout, what to cut and what to leave, on the Lowland Crafts blog, so you will be able to find it there. It will be linked in the description box down below. So when you cut off the sections that we don't need, I want you to cut off the score lines as well. And what I mean, let me show you on the example of this line. We have a score line that goes all the way down, and I will be cutting like so. This way the score line will be left on the piece that I'm going to dispose. The same thing here. I am cutting along the score line. I will use the piece that I have here, but then the score line that I had is being left on the piece that I'm going to toss, and so on. Here, for example, as well, I'm cutting along the score line, but so that it will stay on the piece that I'm not going to use. So I don't have any score line left on the base of the box that I'm going to create. That's the shape that you're going to have. The next thing that I want to do is I want to take my double stitched circle, and I'm going to place this die about 3/4 of an inch away from this edge of the paper here, and about 1/4 of an inch away from this edge on my right hand side. I am going to take a little piece of washi tape and secure the die on the paper. I'm gonna take this into my die cutting machine and run it through. Now, my die cutting machine can accommodate this width of the paper. If your machine is smaller, then you might want to fold these flaps up and then run it through your die cutting machine like that, with the flaps being folded up only up to this line, so that it actually fits through a narrow die cutting machine. Here we go. It's now die cut. I can remove the die for now. I will leave the washi tape there because I'm going to use it just in a second. I'm going to take one of the larger pattern paper pieces that I had cut ahead of time. I'm going to position it so that I have an equal border on all the 4 sides, and that the pattern paper piece fits right between the score lines that I have there. I will secure it on the white cardstock piece, and I will flip it to the back and then sketch a line here, and this line will actually tell me where exactly I need to apply glue on this paper piece without messing my desk with more glue where it is not needed. I'm going to glue it down right here back again. I don't need the washi tape anymore. I'll make sure that I burnish. Now I will put back the die and I will run it through my die cutting machine again in order to get rid of that section of paper. Again, why am I not doing it all at once? Because I find it easier to die cut only through one layer of paper at a time and not to cut through both of them, because the cardstock that I'm using is quite heavy, and the weight of the pattern papers is also quite heavy too. It is 80 pounds cardstock. It is quite thick. So I find it better to do it one step at a time. I'm back. So here you can see that we have die cut in the same place where we had the cutout section in the white base cardstock. Now I'm going to take this paper piece and basically do the same. That was, I think, the most difficult part of this tutorial. All the rest will be super easy. So I'm going now to add the papers to the remaining panels. Now I think I'm going to round the corners of this section right here. Next, we are going to glue the frame to our window. That's what we have so far. And next, I will take a scoreboard, and you will see that we have that score line. I mean, I can still see it. So I will just make sure that I continue the score line again on top of the frame that I have glued down, just in two sections there, and then I will try to gently fold this without tearing the frame. Okay, be very gentle with it. Now I will flip the whole piece to the back side, and now I will take the acetate. The acetate, if you already guessed, will go right here on top of the opening, and it will be positioned on the inside of our box. So I'm going to remove the tape and then center the acetate piece right on top, like so. And make sure that you stay a 1/4 of an inch away from this edge of the future box. Let me just reinforce the score lines. So once we assemble our box, this 1/4 of an inch flap will be glued down right here. So we don't need extra bulk in this section. So that's why we need to have the acetate about a 1/4 inch away from the edge. But if you're using my measurements for this, then you should be fine. Next, I'm going to score a line, but now it will be on the acetate. Make sure you line everything up, and then you score that line only on acetate, nowhere else. Okay? And then gently, very gently, fold the acetate with the paper layers and everything along that line. Okay, don't overdo it. We just need the paper to work with us. Okay, let's call it that way. So I will not be folding it all the way like I would fold the paper crease, for example, here or here. Now I will take my glue again, And you're welcome to use the score tape, but I think the art glitter glue will do the job just fine. So I'm going to apply a bit of the glue onto that flap and seal my box just like so. The box is now ready, and what we need to do is only to embellish it, and that's the super fun part. For embellishing my box, I'm going to use some flowers and some pine branches. I think I'm gonna do something like that. I'm gonna glue the pine cone right here and also use some berry branches, but before we really glue everything together, let me show you how I created the flowers, for example. And also let me glue down this circle onto the scalloped one. Okay, just gonna center it there like so. And then here is my number 25. I think I'm going to have just a bit of foam tape in the back. Okay, and the plan is to use the number 25 there and then add a flower next to it. And then this whole piece will go on the box like so, maybe with a little snowflake on the side, something like that. But yeah, I'm carried away with embellishing it, so yeah, let's wind back to the flowers. Okay, I have already prepared some so that I can use them right away and continue with that tutorial, but I will show you, of course, how I made my flowers. So for the larger flower, for example, I have used two middle-sized poinsettias and the smallest one. So I shaped my flower before I assembled it. For shaping, I used my poking tool, and I was holding the paper flower with two of my fingers like that, really tight, and then I curled each one of the petals like this. Okay, and yeah, you could use a pencil, but I find that the pencil creates less of a curve than the poking tool does. That's why I decided to use the poking tool. So once you curl all the petals, you are going to take either a pen or something and press in the very center of your petals like so. And as you can see, I'm just using my palm as a working surface for this. Next, I will do the same with the second flower, or with the second set of petals, let's call it that way. So we are curling the petals first, and now I am pressing in the center. So we're going to layer these together, but before we do that, let's just work with the smallest flower here as well. I'm doing the very same things that I have already explained and showed you before. So the same thing. We need to press now in the center like so. And next, I just find it easier to work on a piece of foam, and this is just packaging from from something. I don't even remember what, but I really like this piece, and now I'm using it for so many things, really. Okay, so I have applied just a tiny bit of glue, as you can see, in the very center of my first flower. And now I'm going to glue the second one on top, making sure that I rotate this top piece just a bit so that I can make the flower look interesting. Okay, and then I will also glue this little piece inside the very same way, trying to rotate the petals and position them so that, well, this one didn't work very good, but I think you got the idea. Okay, so that's what we did. Let me quickly shape and assemble the second set of petals and get back to you. Here are both of my shaped flowers. Next, I'm going to take the tacky glue and put quite a decent amount of this glue right in the center of each flower. Okay, and then, as you can see, I have seed beads for the centers of my poinsettias. So I have a jar of seed beads, and if I'm not mistaken, this is number 8. So they are in this really nice muted gold. So I'm just going to literally pour a bit of those into the centers of the flowers, like so. Okay, and then I will very gently press with my finger in the very center of each one of the flowers, and I will remove the excess of the beads back into the jar. So that's what we are left with here. I hope the focus is there and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so what's left is only to add some white splatters, and this is white acrylic paint diluted with water. The smaller flowers you create the same way. You just use 2 of the smallest size of the die. So for the splatters, what I do is this. I take something to protect my working surface from splatters. Put them there, both of my flowers, and then I put a little bit of already diluted acrylic paint and water onto an acrylic block, let's say, or anything else that can be easily wiped with a paper towel. And then we just use a brush and splatter the paint. Right on top of the flowers. As easy as that. And look how gorgeous they are now. Aren't they beautiful? I love these. So I will set these aside to dry. And I am going to show you how I created the branches. I'm gonna use both of the branches and I'm gonna layer them. But before layering them together, I'm going to add just a bit of that white shading that I have on the ones that I have already prepared for my project. I'm using the Versamagic Cloud White ink and just a piece of paper to protect my working surface. So again, I'm just dabbing the ink on top of each one of the branches, trying to have the ink on the outside of each branch and less on the inside. Now I'm going to glue these one on top of another like this. Make sure that you really glue them down. And now I am going to take again my art glitter glue and just randomly apply it on different needles here and there, like so. And now I'm going to use a glitter, and that's the glitter that I got from Walmart. It's the extra fine glitter. I think that it is best to use that one and not the chunkier glitter that you can also get in the craft stores. Okay, so I am just going to sprinkle, and it was too much, I think, but okay. I will transfer it back to the jar. So I have sprinkled some of that glitter on top, and it catches right where the glue is. So that looks really nice. I will leave that to dry again on my very handy piece of foam. Once your branch is fully dry, you will use your scissors and just press in the center like so to give it a nice dimensional shape. And that's all. Here you have a set of gorgeous poinsettias and beautiful branches to use on your project. Let's get back to our box. I will say that this will be the top. I'm going to glue some of the berry branches right there, and maybe one will be here as well. Or maybe, you know what's good about these branches is that you can separate them and use them like that. It will also look nice. Okay, so I'm trying to see what kind of composition I want to have on my box right here. So I definitely know that I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of this circle and glue it down there. Then I'm going to maybe add the snowflake as I planned before, and since I have already glued the foam tape here, I will need to cut off part of that snowflake. So the number 25 will be here, and one of the little flowers right here on the side. And to make the flower even more dimensional, I have glued a piece of foam to the back of it as well. Okay, so that flower will be there. And I will glue down the berry branches. I will add some pine branches here and here. I will have my flowers then on top. And I think that this pine cone will finish everything off really nicely if I add it somewhere here. So let me glue all of this down and then get back to you to show you the final result. And you know what is good about this box? That you can lay it all flat and add all of your embellishments and press tight if you really need to on top of the box to make everything stick down, and then you can just assemble it back. And now when everything has been glued down to the box, I can put the top lid and the bottom lid together again and assemble the box back. And this is how it looks. You can, by the way, fit 6 Ferrero candies into this box, and it will be really cute because the recipient will actually see them through the opening in the front of the box and also a bit on the side. And that concludes my tutorial for you today. I really hope that you will give this project a try, and you will give a try creating these wonderful flowers and branches. I really like them. I want to wish all of you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Take care of your loved ones, take care of yourself, and talk to you next year. Bye!